All right, let's get right into it. For decades, India has been playing a long game, a really high-stakes gamble on its energy future. And this entire plan was born from a huge fundamental challenge. But just recently, a massive piece of that 70-year-old puzzle finally snapped into place, and it's a huge step towards real energy independence.
And this is the headline that really turned heads. At the Kalpakkam facility, scientists just achieved a sustained chain reaction in a brand new kind of reactor, a Prototype Fast Breeder Reactor. Now, this isn't just another power plant. It's a machine specifically designed to solve a national paradox. And it all starts by achieving something called criticality.
So what exactly is criticality? Well, think of it like the ignition point for a nuclear reactor. It's that perfect moment when the whole process becomes self-sustaining, perfectly balanced, and it starts releasing this steady, controlled, and just massive amount of energy. Hitting criticality at Kalpakkam means the reactor is officially online. The switch has been flipped.
But to really get why this moment is such a big deal, we have to rewind. We've got to go back to the very beginning, because India's entire nuclear program, from day one, was built around solving a massive, unavoidable resource problem.
And this right here, this shows you the problem in a nutshell. It's this incredible imbalance. On one side, you've got less than 1% of the world's uranium, which is the standard fuel for pretty much every nuclear reactor out there. But on the other side, India is sitting on a mountain of thorium, about 13% of the entire world's supply. This single fact has shaped every single decision they've made.
So what's the result of having so little uranium? Well, it means you're dependent on other countries. For all its existing reactors, India has to import tons and tons of uranium from places like Kazakhstan, Canada, and Russia. And if you're a country that's striving for self-reliance, what India calls Atmanirbhar Bharat, that dependency is a huge strategic risk. But faced with this exact dilemma, the father of India's nuclear program, Dr. Homi Bhabha, he didn't see a weakness. He saw an incredible opportunity. He came up with this amazing, long-term vision to pivot away from the resource India didn't have and instead build an entire strategy around the one it had in spades.
And that vision became a very concrete, three-stage nuclear program. It's basically a multi-decade roadmap designed to completely transform India's nuclear fuel cycle and eventually achieve total self-sufficiency. So let's break down exactly how this master plan is supposed to work.
Okay, Stage 1 has actually been running for years. It uses pretty standard reactors that run on natural uranium. They generate electricity, for the grid. But, and this is the crucial part, their spent fuel contains a super valuable byproduct, plutonium-239. And this stuff isn't waste, it's the absolute key to the next stage.
Which brings us to Stage 2. This is what just happened at Kalpakkam. The fast breeder reactor takes that plutonium-239 from Stage 1, mixes it with other uranium, and this is where the magic really happens. The breeder part of the name is literal. It generates energy while actually producing more plutonium fuel than it uses up. The secret sauce here is something called the breeding ratio. And all you need to know is that if that ratio is greater than 1, it means the reactor is creating a fuel surplus. You put in 1 unit of fuel, you run the reactor, and you get more than 1 unit of new fuel back out. This is what makes the whole thing a self-sustaining cycle.
And all of that leads us to the endgame, Stage 3. Once India has stockpiled enough fuel from these breeder reactors, it can finally launch the third and final stage. These future reactors will run on the country's huge thorium reserves, kick-started by the fuel made in Stage 2. This is the step that unlocks a nearly inexhaustible source of clean energy.
But, and it is a big but, turning this brilliant theory into a working reality has been anything but simple. This has been a long, incredibly expensive, and technically challenging journey, and it has been filled with some major hurdles.
I mean, just look at the timeline for this Kalpakkam reactor. It was originally supposed to go critical all the way back in 2010. The fact that it took until 2024, that just shows you how immensely complex this technology is. And of course, a 16-year delay comes with some pretty significant cost overruns.
One of the biggest technical nightmares is the coolant. Normal reactors use water, but these breeder reactors have to use liquid sodium. On the one hand, it's fantastic at transferring heat, but on the other, it's incredibly dangerous. It reacts violently, explosively, if it ever touches air or water. Just managing that risk is a massive engineering feat.
And here's the reality check. Even with Kalpakkam up and running, the finish line is still a ways off.
Experts think it's going to take another 20 to 30 years of running these Stage 2 reactors before India has enough bread fuel to even begin rolling out Stage 3 on a large scale.
So with all these delays and all these complexities, you might be asking yourself, why keep pushing? Why go through all this trouble? Well, because this long-term nuclear gamble is tied directly to India's biggest and most critical national goals.
Of course, you can't power the future without securing the present. This whole master plan still needs uranium to get stages 1 and 2 off the ground. So to make sure there are no hiccups on the long road to stage 3, the government has been securing its supply lines. That includes a pretty recent deal for 10,000 tons of uranium from Canada, which basically guarantees they have the fuel needed to bridge the gap.
This table really sums up the why. This whole program is absolutely essential for hitting their net zero climate targets. It's needed for powering huge economic growth, everything from energy-hungry AI data centers to bringing reliable electricity to rural areas. And of course, it's the key to finally achieving that ultimate goal of energy security.
The national target they're shooting for is seriously ambitious, 100 gigawatts of nuclear power. And look, reaching that kind of scale is basically impossible without pulling off all 3 stages of this grand plan.
So it's really important to see this achievement at Kalpakkam not as the finish line. It's not the end of the story. It's really the firing of the starting pistol for the most important, most critical phase of this entire 70-year journey.
This whole thing is just an amazing testament to incredible long-term strategic thinking, but the hardest work is definitely still ahead, which, of course, leaves us with the ultimate question. After all this time, can this 70-year-old scientific gamble finally deliver on its promise to power India's future?